our esteemed Professor Akinwayemi. You're welcome, sir. We're glad to have you in this session. We also have our immediate past Vice President, Professor Uche Nwogugu from Nnamdi Azikiwe University. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. So please let me make welcome the first presenter of the first paper titled The Fossil Fuel Paradox Revisited. It's been written by Justice Dorefaka, Ikechukwu, Jeffrey, as well as Adebayo Kolawole. Please, can you come forward? Let's make him welcome. Please join me here. But you can stand when you want to present. Your slides are showing already. Saves. Please, let's make him welcome. Let's make him welcome. See if that one is working. I think it's on.
Thank you very much. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and good morning, the past executives of NAEE.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, yes, thank you. So I'm here today to present on behalf of Dr. Justice Dorefaka on the paper titled The Fossil Fuel Paradox Revisited. So what the paper did is typically to reconcile some energy transition programs and plans, especially as it concerns Nigeria and Africa at large, with huge focus on sub-Saharan Africa, and comparing it with the pace at which the rest of the world is moving as it relates to energy transition plans. And then vis-a-vis what we have as reserve potential, which is hydrocarbon, and how we are going to, have a mix between what we currently have, what we can do with it, versus where we hope to be in the next 20, 30, 40 years. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you. So this is the outline. We're going to be looking at the energy, the fossil fuel paradox. Would look at the global equity and climate justice. Looked at case studies, looking at Nigeria, Mozambique, and India. Some key insights and themes, policy recommendations and conclusions. Next slide, please. So just as I've said, there is energy access gap in Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa. Studies have shown that over 600 million of Africans lack electricity access. And by electricity access, divided into three plugs, there is the affordability of energy, the cleanability of energy, and the availability of energy. So it is clear there is an electricity deficit. What is the impact on development? Studies have shown that all the developed countries right now, they were developed on a base electricity access of about 4,000 kilowatts per hour per capita. So it means everybody in the country has access to 4,000 kilowatts per hour. And Nigeria currently, our energy access is about 139 kilowatts per hour. And we're going to see it on a table as we move forward. So, and this has impacted how far we've developed. We used to be termed a developing country, but I don't know if that still exists. So clearly, there's need for solutions. What are we going to do differently? We currently have abundance of resources. What have we done with our resources? What do we hope to do with our resources? In terms of governance, are there structures in place that has been able to facilitate how we fared so far? Is there a need for a change? Are governance going to affect the infrastructures that are needed to be able to have access to energy, at least for the rest of the population of Nigeria? And then the need for inclusive energy developments, okay? There is already a COP21 ambition for Nigeria to hit net zero by 2060. How are we going to achieve that? Is it possible? Is it feasible? Next slide, please. So energy poverty, highlighted, we are poor in terms of energy. Justice, equity, and historical responsibility. The world expects us to move from fossil fuel burning to renewable energy and sustainable energy. Capital is not available. You go to AFDB or you go to World Bank to finance a fossil fuel project, you definitely might not be able to get funding for that project. Why? Because everybody has an ESG goal and they want to go green. So we can't even have the capital that is needed. Do not think there's strong governance frameworks. There's strong governance frameworks that will protect their investment in the energy industry, where there was a clash between the private sector investors and unions. You know, those kind of incidents they create panic. So how do we offset how the public-private partnership, you know, work together to ensure that everybody feels included and everybody has trust in the governance structure to know that my investment in this country is safeguarded, I don't have to lose, and I can make money. And there needs to be a flexible transition pace. I think I've said it. We are not expected to move at the same space with the United States of America. So in as much as we've committed to 2060 as the net zero target in COP21, we need to come to the table and say, okay, can there be provisions for flexible plans for countries, for peculiar countries like us, who may not be able to achieve the pace as fast as a developing country?
Let's give the microphone. If you have a question, just raise your hand. Yeah. Please. I thought you were raising your hand. Yes, let's start with the gentleman. We'll take the first 3 questions and then we'll go to the next. Yes, we'll have just about 40 minutes left.
Panelists, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, in the course of your presentation, I was wondering why you make Mozambique.
Sorry, could you introduce yourself if you don't mind, please?
Okay, I'm Dr. Tajuddin Oduwole from National Open University.
You're welcome, sir.
So as I said, I was wondering why you make Mozambique as the comparative analysis, you know, with Nigeria. In the sense that, do we really gain independence at the same time? What is the parameter, what is the yardstick for us to see the leverage? Perhaps we are moving at the same pace compared to developed countries which you cited, the case of United States of America. So I'm thinking we should have a level playing ground for the two, or probably look inward to see a country that we started almost at the same time and see whether we are actually making progress or not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please, Professor Iwayemi.
Thank you very much. My name is Akin Iwayemi, CP UI Ibadan. Just as the last speaker said, what was the basis of choice of countries? Nigeria, Mozambique, India. You did not give us reasons why we've chosen those 3 countries. And those 3 countries have peculiarities that we know about. And so you in your analysis or your discussion, you are mixing countries with region, you know. So you have to clarify what you want to do and the basis of what you are doing. As I said, Nigeria is unique. But Mozambique also is unique because hydro resources are developed in Mozambique, you know. And there was this grand plan quote to have, you know, cross-regional transmission of electricity from Inga Dam, you know, Inga Dam in DRC and Angola, but they have not succeeded. So Africa actually has problems because of finance and technology. And when the price is not right, they will not be able to get investors that will invest. The Nigerian case is illustrative of the problem facing investment in Africa. We are still at 4,000 megawatts. When 20 years ago we were at that level. And you should then interrogate why has there been no progress. What has that got to do with social justice? So, I mean, there are many things you are trying to bundle up into your analysis, and then you need to separate them. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much. Let's put the hand together for him. I think we can take one more or two, so we go to the next presentation. The gentleman at the back, please, would you want to come forward to the microphone? Okay, you don't have, yes. Sorry, ma, yes. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Franklin Mbounce by name, from Chukwemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Anambra State, Ibadan. Please, I want to get your detailed theme and objective of your presentation, please. That's what my concern. And also, please, I want you to expand your findings. I want you to expand more on your findings, or you can make it official, like expand it more. That's what I want to share with you, please. So
thank you, Franklin.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll let him respond, and if there are further questions, we can take before going to the next presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for the very insightful questions. So from the first question, why Mozambique? Why not use a country with similar challenges? Very apt question, and I think it's also it dives into the first question that Prof asked as the second speaker. So the choice of Mozambique was typically the investment inflows into Africa. So it's not because we have similar challenges. So in the last 5 years, Mozambique has had a fair share of investment inflow into its budding, what's it called, hydrocarbon, what's it called, oil and gas sector, whereas capital is shying away from Nigeria. So why is that happening? So that was why the paper delved into what are the current governance frameworks, the current fiscal policies that Mozambique has that is drawing capital away from Nigeria. And the choice of India, on the other hand, is a country that is almost in the same developing space as us. They used to be very, very underdeveloped, but now they've achieved tremendous effort. The coal contribution to the electricity mix used to be higher than what it currently is. So what are they doing differently? And why are they able to attract about $14.5 billion of investment into their renewable energies projects? So that's the choice. That's the reason why the three countries were placed side by side. So I don't know if that answered the question. Then for Prof's question, so after he asked why the countries were chosen, he then asked what is the comparative. Okay, I think it's almost the same thing. I think so. So I don't know if I've been able to answer a bit, sir. Okay, then it's social justice. Oh, okay. Okay, it's socio-economic justice. So socio-economic justice in the sense that you want me to reach net zero in 2060. I currently have 200 TCF of gas sitting in my reserve that needs to be developed to achieve that ambition, because where's the money going to come from? But then the capital is not looking my way, because the people that will provide the capital have ESG compliance that makes it look like my fossil fuel is an enemy of their money. So capital is not patient. I need to achieve net zero targets, but I need to also industrialize internally to be able to achieve that. So that's the socio-economic justice. How do I balance those three segments in order to still achieve my net zero target while utilizing my fossil fuel with capital that is impatient? Thank you, sir. So for the last question, so the theme of the presentation is just policy recommendations. Policy recommendations. So Nigeria, we have huge energy deficits. We have a long way to go in terms of industrializing, making sure that our domestic market we revitalize the domestic market. Now, what is causing those deficits in energy access, and what are the recommendations for us to get to where we need to be, typically? So there were 6 policy recommendations in order to get there. Of course, one of it was the creation of an energy equity fund that will be funded by percentage, or which will be driven by fiscals, really, because it's hinged on governance structure. So it will be funded by a percentage of what is made from what we currently have. So we've been producing oil and gas for the last 50, 60 years, and we've never had anything like a sovereign wealth fund. The closest we have is an external reserve that we keep depleting to pay salaries. We need to have a targeted fund that draws from what we currently have and use that to achieve our transition goal. So I don't know if that paraphrases it. Thank you.
Okay, I think he's tried his best, but it's important to take some of those comments towards enhancing the paper. And just for the purpose of information, we have a sovereign wealth fund. In fact, part of sovereign wealth fund is aimed at infrastructure development. So you could read up a bit about that so that you can enhance your paper, especially in making sure that you don't have too many things in the analysis in order to make it more beneficial. Is that okay? But let's put our hands together for him. For those who joined us after he started, he presented a paper titled Fossil Fuel Paradox Revisited. The next paper we have this morning will be coming from Babcock University, and the presenter is Ruth Yetunde Edelare. Let's make her welcome. Ruth, please, you can come forward. You can take a moment and introduce it. Will be put on the screen. Let's make her welcome. Let's make her welcome, please. Have the next slide, please. Yetunde Edelare.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Edale Ruth Yetunde, a student from Babcock University. My topic is Good morning, everyone. My name is Adale Ruth Yetunde, a student from Babcock University. My topic is climate change and mortality rates in sub-Saharan Africa. Mortality rate is a critical indicator of a country's population health. Sub-Saharan Africa countries consist of about 48 countries and has higher mortality rate compared to the rest of the world. Climate change is primarily driven by human activities, which create emission of greenhouse gases into the Earth's atmosphere and cause a global phenomenon. According to Campbell, climate change has attributed to about 150 lives in some years, and also because of that, sub-Saharan African countries has higher mortality rates compared to the rest of the world, despite the fact that we contribute less carbon damage into the atmosphere compared to the rest of the world. Increase in extreme weather events like droughts and floods, and as well as wildfires, have all been linked to climate change. My objectives of the study: The main objective of the study is to look at the impact of climate change on mortality rates in sub-Saharan Africa. When we are looking at the specific objectives, climate change, I looked at humidity, carbon damage, precipitation, health expenditure per capita, and crop production. All these variables, we looked at it on the variables used on my mortality rate, which are lifetime risk of maternal death, infant mortality, under 5 mortality, and maternal mortality. My scope of the study, it covers 20 years. I selected about 15 countries in sub-Saharan Africa, making use of the African Development Bank and the World Bank. My independent variables are temperature, carbon damage, crop production, while my dependent variables are lifetime risk, maternal death, infant mortality, under 5 mortality, and maternal mortality. And the data used is from 1995 to 2020, and I selected Lesotho, Nigeria, Chad, as you can see on the projector. I made use of modernization theory, which looks at the stages of development from traditional to modern firms. And when looking at this, I made use of technological advancement because it contributes to environmental degradation. I also looked at the pollution haven theory. This is when multinational companies, because they cannot adhere to the laws and rules of those countries, they will move their companies to more developed, to developing nations to build their companies, which affects, which causes carbon damage and creates increases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. My environment empirical review, I made use of Diouf et al. 2020, which looked at the connection between malaria in West Africa and climate variability. Literature gap. Most studies that relates to this topic, we made use of survey analysis, but I used a limited time series and panel analysis here. And also introduced new variables like carbon damage, health expenditure per capita, and lifetime risk of maternal death. And the countries selected here are those countries that are most affected by climate change. I made use of the ex-post research design. The meat of my paper, the main theory used in this paper is the anthropogenic global warming theory, which looks at how human behavior causes increase in leads to increase in leads to increase in climate change and causes increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which leads to climate change. So these are my sources. All the definitions here are gotten from the World Bank. So I made use of the IPS unit root test, the mean group, and the pooled mean group test using Stata software. But when I ran through the test through Hausman text, they selected the PMG pooled mean group model as the most appropriate model. So here are the outcomes. This is my lifetime risk of maternal death. That is the risk of a pregnant woman carrying her baby to full term, looking at carbon damage, humidity, precipitation, health expenditure per capita, and crop production index. Also looking at maternal mortality, then the function, under 5 mortality rate and the function, and infant mortality rate and the function. So I just put it into a regression model. So, yeah. So looking at my a priori expectation, I expect that as humidity increases, mortality rate also increase. As carbon damage increases, mortality rate increases. As crop production increases, mortality rate reduces. As health expenditure per capita increases, mortality rate reduces. So these are my results. So here is noticed that precipitation, health expenditure per capita, under 5 mortality, carbon damage, and humidity are not significant, while the rest are significant and the high ones are significant. So looking at the pooled mean group results on the climate change variables on lifetime risk of maternal death. Remember I said my climate rate change variables are carbon damage, humidity. So here, these are my results. You can see that carbon damage is significant. Yes, carbon damage is significant, and there is a negative relationship and does not tally with our a priori expectation. This could be as a result of maybe the government doing disaster preparedness, or also helping improving the social development economic of their citizens. So here, humidity is not significant, precipitation is not significant, health expenditure, there's a negative relationship, and it aligns with our a priori expectation. As government pumps in more money into the health sector, all things being equal, it means that there are more hospitals, the professionals, doctors are more trained, drugs are made more available to the citizens, which helps in reducing the mortality rate. Then crop production, but this is not significant. So this is the climate change variables and the maternal mortality. That's the result. Here there's a negative relationship and it's significant. Humidity, there's no significance. Precipitation, there's no significance. Health expenditure per capita, there's a significant relationship, and it's in a negative significant relationship. Crop production, there's a positive relationship. This positive relationship, that means as crop production increases, mortality rate increases. Although, even though crop production has increased, why this result could be like this is if other sectors, like maybe the health, pumping more money into their death, even if you have good food and everything, once the mother goes into the operating room and they don't have the necessary equipment, trained professionals in the hospitals, it could still lead to the death of the mother. So looking at climate change and under 5 mortality rates. Here there is a negative relationship in carbon damage. There's also a positive relationship in humidity. That means as humidity increases, mortality rate of under 5, children under 5 also increase. This is because humidity can cause skin diseases like heat rashes. It can lead to dengue fever. It can cause asthma. And all of these things are not really treated, can lead to the death of the child. There's a negative relationship with precipitation and under 5 mortality, negative relationship, as you can see, health expenditure and crop production. So this is climate change variables and infant mortality rate. Carbon damage, there is a negative relationship, as you see, 7.266. That means as
development. We had the first presentation from Justice Derefaka et al. On the fossil fuel paradox revisited, and they try to highlight different aspects of the energy transition vis-a-vis socioeconomic justice and the context of hydrocarbon-rich countries in Africa. And then the last presentation we had was from Ruth Yetunde Adelere of Babcock University, and she presented on climate change and mortality rate in sub-Saharan Africa. Perhaps, Yetunde, you could change your title to Climate Change and Health Outcomes. You know, following the comment from Professor Iwayemi, rather than just look at, you know, you look at the entire health outcomes, general mortality rate, then you go to the specifics, maternal, under 5 mortality, and all other life expectancy. I agree with the president that it's a very good paper, but please, you need to improve on its quality with all of these comments that you have received. For those who have contributed to this session, I want to, on behalf of the president and council members, welcome you again to this annual conference and thank you for attending this session. Please, may I invite the speakers, the president, since we have the privilege of having them here, Professor Iwayemi and Professor Uche, to join us for a photograph to end this concurrent session. Please, let's make them welcome.
almost like procrastination.